thanks everybody for connecting for this webinar. So this webinar is about my experience investing in Alberta real estate. So I do want to just kind of give a little bit of an overview of what to expect from this. I've been a real estate investor since 2013, and until 2021, I was primarily just investing in Ontario, like whether it's Barrie or Windsor, Kitchener-Waterloo. A lot of the types of properties that I was investing in were self-managed by myself. And then when I had an opportunity to invest in Alberta, and it was the first time that I sourced out property management, it kind of just like really opened me up to opportunities, because in the US it's quite popular to invest in states that you don't live in or places that you can't drive to, while in Canada I do find that a lot of investors, they want to be able to drive down to their property and kind of like check it out. But I also find that distance kind of makes it a lot easier and a lot more hands off, and then just the opportunities that exist out there. So yeah, I'm going to talk about why I made that decision. I'm going to talk about what my decision, what it's looked like so far for me. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that are available in Calgary. I'm part of a pre-construction team. We do sell projects by Truman Homes, which is, one of the top builders in Calgary. They've been, building homes out there for over 30 years, family-run business. So I do help my, friends, family, and then also just clients, get into real estate investing and start their portfolios or expand their portfolios out there. So, currently I live in Toronto. I'm a realtor with Freemax Condos Plus in downtown Toronto. Before I got into this business, I spent over a decade in Toronto's condominium industry. I was, I was working in one industry for about 20 years, and I started at the bottom of that industry, and I left as the vice president of a business, and just wanted to kind of pursue something different, something I was more passionate about, and that was real estate, because I've been an investor since 2013, and it was kind of something that becoming an agent just went hand in hand with something I'm already passionate and interested in. And in 2022, I was in the top 1% for GTA condo sales from over 70,000 TREB realtors that we have out here. And if you want to connect with me on Instagram, it's alexz.realtor. Carmelo is going to be sharing that link throughout the presentation in the chat. And there's also going to be a Calendly link there as well. If anybody wants to connect on Calendly, book a call and talk about something related to this. But there is going to be an opportunity at the end to ask some questions as well. So I guess the first part of the presentation is just kind of like an overview and, why invest in real estate. I mean, for me, it started when a friend of mine gave me the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad in about 2008. And that kind of like opened up my eyes. And I know a lot of people that invest in real estate. That was, pretty much the first kind of book that they read about, cash flow and passive income. But ultimately, the main difference is between real estate and other investment vehicles, so things like stocks or mutual funds or ETFs, is that you actually own something tangible, like something that's physical. You can see it, you can touch it, it's in demand, it's a basic human need. As human beings, we need food, water, and shelter. Canada is currently experiencing, I think it's probably biggest immigration boom, at least in the last 30 years. I don't know if of all time, but we've had over 1 million new immigrants that came to Canada over the last year and a half, and we're expecting 2 million more that are going to be landing here before 2025. And, we already have a major housing shortage. So just to put it into perspective, we had that 1 million new immigrants that came, but there was only about 200,000 or 300,000. So I think it was 200,000 new homes that were built during that time. And if you need one home for two people, that means we're 300,000 homes behind. And, an additional strain here is that when somebody comes to Canada, they can't buy a property right away. They have to wait for permanent residency status, and that usually takes 2 years. So it puts an additional strain on the rental market, which is something that we're seeing in the GTA, but also in the other major Canadian markets, which are, Vancouver, Montreal, and Calgary. Like the rents in Calgary are just, going crazy, and Toronto too. Our population continues to grow. It's a safe investment, and a good strategy for anybody who's just kind of getting into real estate investing is buy and hold, because any asset goes up and down. But as you can see here, these are the numbers off TREB. Ultimately, regardless of where during this period of time, and this represents the last 22 years, where you would have bought real estate, you would be better off today than there. Of course, unless you bought very, very recently. But in the short term, ultimately our real estate goes up about 5% a year. And, this graph here just kind of shows and represents real estate prices for 4 different categories. So condos, condo townhouses, freehold townhouses, and just freehold properties in the GTA. So a little bit about Alberta and how I ventured out there. So like I mentioned a few minutes ago, prior to 2021, I was investing in Ontario, properties that I can drive to. And in 2021, in the spring, I was looking to buy a property in Midland, Ontario, which is just about half an hour north of Barrie. They went into multiple offers. The property wasn't going to be cash flowing. Did the calculation. It was going to be costing me a lot of money to float this property every single month. I was about to change careers. I knew I was getting into real estate and out of my previous business, and ended up not getting that property. It went for about $150,000 over asking. I think it went for, I don't know, something close to $600,000. It was a house. And pretty much that same day, as I was competing in those multiple offers with my agent, because I wasn't a realtor at that time, we came to know of an opportunity in Leduc, Alberta, which is a suburb of Edmonton. It's about 20 minutes south of Edmonton. And so that was an opportunity where we were able to buy a pre-construction home, which was actually a duplex. It had a fully sustainable basement suite, as well as a 3-bedroom suite on the top level. We were able to get it in the low 400,000s pre-construction. We purchased that property, closed on it about 6 months later. We put property management in place. I went and sourced out my own property manager. I paid them about 6% of the monthly rent to manage the property. It cost me about half a month's rent to find a tenant. And the property's been cash flowing it hands off ever since. And it's probably been the easiest investment that I have, purchased in real estate. It just kind of sits there and I don't worry about it. My property manager takes care of everything that comes with this property. Every 6 months they do an inspection. They send me a report. They say, okay, Alex, we got to change the faucet. It's $100 or $200, or, this tenant's moving out. We got to find a new tenant. But that's pretty much it. Like, I pay them. They look after everything. And, that's when I kind of, started to reflect on this. And I was like, okay, I got to, look at more opportunities out there. So then in November 2022, I was looking to invest again. And I was looking at some pre-construction properties in the Greater Toronto area. And the reason why I was looking at pre-construction is simply, for me, it made sense. I was only in real estate for a year, and with only a year of self-employed income, it would be really next to impossible for me to get a mortgage on a resale property. So pre-construction was the only way that I can get into property ownership. And I was kind of looking at what's available in the GTA. And then I came to know of an opportunity in Calgary, Alberta, through Remax Wealth Builders, which is a sister brokerage of the Remax brokerage I'm with. And it was to purchase a condo in downtown Calgary at a building called the Broward. And, this is kind of what this presentation is going to be about right now. It's going to be about how I compared and did an analysis for myself on investing in the Broward versus investing in a comparable size pre-construction property closing in 2027 in Toronto. So this image that you see here, this is Queen Church. This is obviously not in Calgary. This is in downtown Toronto. It's a condominium in pre-construction finishing in 2027 at Queen and Church. And the reason why I'm using this is because this is very similar to the unit that I bought at the Broward. And, the Broward's located in downtown Calgary, kind of in a comparable location if you look at the geography of the city. Obviously, the city is not as mature as Toronto, but I felt that this is kind of like a fair analysis of showing a pre-construction project in Toronto versus a similar one in Calgary, and why, except for the price point, it just makes a lot more sense. At least it did for myself to go with that route. So if you look at Queen Church condominiums, they have units that are starting in the 700,000s. The unit that I was looking at is Unit 1A, which is the floor plan model. It's 775,000. It's a 1-bedroom, 480 square foot condo. This property, unfortunately, does not have any options for parking. You cannot buy a parking space in this building for any unit that's less than 3 bedrooms. And even if you purchase a 3-bedroom unit, it's going to cost you $125,000 to buy that parking space. I'm sorry, I have 2 screens, so that's why I'm just like looking at the left here. So the price per square foot for this unit is about $1,600. The monthly maintenance fees will be $389 a month, and that will be the entry level. Tanesh, yes, you will be able to see this recording, and also if you want to talk about this, feel free to book a call with me. So the monthly property tax is $408,000, and I would need to do a 20% deposit within 450 days. So that's about $150,000 that I would have to pay within a year and a half as a deposit to the builder to be able to buy this property at Queen and Church. And then when I was kind of looking at rents, these are the Toronto rents. So these are some stats. These are some very recent stats. This is not the same numbers I was looking at back in December. But as of right now, that 1-bedroom condo would rent out for about $2,500 in downtown Toronto. And these are the Calgary rents. So I kind of have these slides a little bit backwards. So I'm going to come back to that rent slide after. But this is the Broward. So this is the building that I purchased my unit at. It's a smaller boutique condominium. It's only 6 stories. It has 155 units. The price per square foot is about $800 per square foot, and the estimated completion is 2027. So here's why this unit made sense for me. So you can see the floor plan is also A1. It's a 488 square foot condo. The plan price is $440,000. However, in order for me to get this deposit, and that was broken down into 2 5% segments. So I would need to do a 5% deposit within 1 month of signing my purchase agreement, and another 5% deposit within a year. So I'm going to be making that in November. But all these benefits and perks that I got, were kind of like what kind of sealed the deal for me. So only 10% down. I got a free parking space with this unit. I got a free storage locker. I got a 2-year rental guarantee and 2-year free property management. So here's the key thing here with that is that when a condominium completes and people start to occupy it during interim occupancy, a lot of the people that bought in that pre-construction condominium are investors that are not going to be living there themselves, at least in the first part of that condominium's life cycle before it gets registered. So what you get is a lot of units that hit the rental market all at the same time. So at that Queen and Church, you'd maybe have about 10, 20, 30 units available for rent at the same time. Now, Toronto has a really high rent demand, so these units would get rented out, but I'll be competing, and there would be a period of time where my unit will be sitting potentially vacant because maybe my unit will be the last one out of the 1-bedrooms to get rented out. Maybe it'll be the first, I don't know. But with this rental guarantee that Truman Homes was offering through their property management company, I would be getting a guaranteed rent from day one. And that guaranteed rent is $2,200. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. There's a free assignment here. So if for some reason, 2027 is coming along and, my closing's coming up and I no longer want to continue with this property, I can assign it for free. Whereas with any Toronto property, first of all, you would have to make sure that the builder allows assignment, and there would also usually be an assignment fee. In Calgary, there's no assignment fees and builders allow assignments. And then there's also hassle-free MLS exit. So let's say my rental guarantee finishes after 2 years and my free property management finishes after 2 years. And I say, you know what, I don't want to bother with this. I don't want to go find my own property management company. I just want to sell it and take my appreciation. Well, you're welcome to do that. And the hassle-free MLS exit, what that means is that, they will list it on the MLS for you, and you will not have to pay the selling agent's commission, which is usually between 1 to 2.5%, depending on what you negotiate with your selling agent. You just pay a flat $500 fee, and then you pay the buyer agent commission. The standard for Toronto buyer agent commission is about 2.5%. So this is just part of my purchase agreement. So this shows my monthly rental incentive, which is $2,200. But if I go back a couple of slides and I look at where Calgary rents are right now, I can see that they're not that far off. Like a 1-bedroom condo today is almost $2,100 in Calgary. And these prices are increasing significantly. So I do have the option that when 2027 comes along, if I don't want to use the rental guarantee because market rent is higher, which I anticipate it will be, considering where it is right now, and we're still 4 years out from completion, I have the option of not using the free property management, hiring my own management company and just getting a real estate agent or that management company to rent out that property for me at the market rent. So I do reserve the right to do that. And by all indications, with population continuing to grow, and the amount of people that are moving out to Calgary and moving into our 4 major metropolitans that we have in Canada, I anticipate that I don't see any scenario where, rents are going to be at the rental guarantee in 2027. The way that they calculate this rental guarantee is it's just basically 6% of the pre-tax purchase amount of the unit. That's how they calculate it. So it's just a flat calculation. It's not like a reflection of Calgary's rental market. Ultimately, nobody can predict it, but rents are just continuing to go up. People are moving here and they need places to live. It's quite simple for me. So a little bit of a breakdown that I did here between Queen Church and the Broward. So the purchase price for Queen Church is $775,000. So like I mentioned, I would need to have a $155,000 down payment within 450 days. So I'd have to come up with, a very substantial amount of money in a year and a half, which I would not be able to do. The maintenance fees would be $389. And I would get all these extras. So basically a parking spot I can't buy. And if I wanted to buy it, I'd need a 3-bedroom unit and it would cost me $120K. I'd need to most likely, if I wasn't a real estate agent, I'd need to hire a real estate agent to help me lease out that unit. So that's going to be a month rent plus HST. Assignment may have a cost if I want to assign the unit before closing because I have something that happens and I don't want to close on that property anymore. And the assignment may just not even be allowed. And then builders may not permit renting during interim occupancy, which is also something that you have to make sure that you're careful about when you're buying a condo in pre-construction, is that the builder, simply put, may not allow you to rent it out until the condominium corporation is registered. And that may be a year or even 2 years after you have to take possession of your unit and start paying interim occupancy fees for that unit. Now, at the Broward, the purchase price is $440,000. The down payment of 20% is the down payment of 20% is $88,000, but I don't really need to come up with that. I need $44,000 within a year. So, and when I purchase the property, 5% a year later, and then nothing else until 2027. So basically, it's spread out a lot more and a lot more sustainable. There's a free parking spot that I get. I get a free locker. I get a 2-year rental guarantee at $2,200. I get 2 years free property management. I get the free assignment, the hassle-free MLS exit. So, just all of these things put together, they made a lot of sense for me. And I did a kind of like a cash flow analysis at today's interest rates. Now, mind you, we're in a high interest rate environment. So, the rates that we're at right now nobody has a crystal ball. Ultimately, I don't know what interest rates are going to be like next year or in 4 years, but the way the interest rates are now, it's happening for a reason. We're trying to cool down inflation after 2 years of giving out free money during the pandemic. So we're kind of balancing out from that. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention is that the Broward also offered, I don't know if I mentioned it, but there was 2 years no maintenance fees, which I think 2 years free condo fees. So I kind of worked that into my cash flow analysis. So this is a cash flow analysis that I did today, based on a 5% mortgage and a 30-year amortization period. So you can see that at Queen Church condominiums, I would be having to pay $954 every single month based on an anticipated rent of $3,200 a month. So I'm projecting that based on today's rents in Toronto, a 1-bedroom condo is going to be $3,200 in 2027. It's $2,510 today. While in the Broward, with my 2-year free 2 years of free no condo fee promo, I'm actually cash flowing $133 a month at a 5% interest rate. So for me, this was a no-brainer because Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, invest for cash flow. Appreciation is secondary. You have no control over that. But when you buy a property that's cash flowing, it's very safe for you because you're not in a situation where you have a life-changing event, like maybe, I don't know, like you are switching careers or something, or an unexpected expense, and now you can't afford that $954 a month payment, and you're having to sell your property during a down market. When your property is cash flowing, you first of all, you have somebody else that's paying down your mortgage, your property is appreciating, you're getting cash flow every month, but you also have control, and you can control if and when you decide to liquidate that asset and sell that asset. You can sell it at the right time while the market is at an going up, and you can kind of maximize on your return. And another kind of just kicker is that in Alberta, there's no land transfer tax. So if I was to buy that Queen Church property in Toronto, I mean, I don't know what my land transfer tax would be with municipal and provincial, but maybe Carmelo, you maybe know this, but I anticipate like I would have to pay like between $20,000 and $30,000 in land transfer tax. You're muted. I don't know if you're answering that question or no.
I'm just looking it up, Alex. Give me a second, and I'll tell you. So if you're buying in Toronto and the purchase price is $775.
Yeah.
The provincial land transfer tax is $11,975.
Yeah.
And the city of Toronto land transfer tax is the same, $11,975. So in total, let's just say it's $24,000.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to pay when you're closing. You have to pay $24,000 plus legal fees. I mean, it's like the math made sense for me, and it's a market that's, it's kind of like a booming market. Like when I look at Calgary and the things that are happening out there, it kind of reminds me of where Toronto was in like 2007 or something, or 2005. And yeah, the only closing cost that you'd have to pay in Alberta is your legal costs, which are about $1,000, maybe $1,200. So it kind of made a lot of sense for me. So just like, these are, again, like all these factors, right? The free parking. I mean, the key thing for me was that deposit, right? Like not having to do a 20% deposit. No condo fees. There's some suite upgrades that they throw in for you. Like suite, but I mean like suite, like unit upgrades. I'm sure there's suite as well. You have a free hassle-free MLS exit. You get free assignment. Hopefully I don't plan on assigning it, but you never know, life happens. You get a free rental guarantee, which I may or may not use, and I get free property management for 2 years. So I mean, for me, it was kind of like a no-brainer. And for those people that are kind of wondering what's going on in Calgary, this is a statistic for June. This is from the Calgary Real Estate Board, so you can see that prices have increased based on this time last year, so by almost 5% across the board for all property types. There's a lot of sales, meaning there's a lot of demand because people are moving out there. There's much less inventory. So when you have a supply and demand imbalance and you have more demand than supply, then that drives prices up even more. Currently there's just over a month of supply on Calgary's MLS system, which is quite low. And the days on market has dropped 17% to this time last year. It's just 22 days on market on average for a property. Remember, this is properties across the board, whether it's condos or, a 7-bedroom mansion. Like it's everything is kind of averaged out here. So that's what's going on there. This is also some information I got about the housing market report in Calgary. Detached home average price increased by 14.7%, semis increased by 15.8%, townhouses by 14%, condos by 12.1%. The amount of sales in Calgary is up 18% to this time last year to over 2,600 homes sold. And that's in July, not in the whole year. And so I mean, the market is booming. There's businesses that are being relocated there. Calgary has an international airport, which makes it, a great option for, business headquarters. You have companies like DH, which is relocating its manufacturing plant from Toronto, along with 1,500 personnel that are going to need housing as well, and they're all being relocated to Chelsea, which is a suburb of Calgary. Amazon's building a headquarters in Calgary. I mean, you can read the news headlines, online. You can just kind of Google about what's happening in Calgary. Like this company, Green Impact, they're figuring out a way to, basically, I believe it's the way that they convert low-grade wheat into energy. So it's basically a new energy source. So yeah, all this information can be found online. Like, do your own due diligence if this is something you're thinking about. Like, don't take my word for it. Just do some research and, read some articles about what's happening in Calgary. Like, before I bought my property, I have a friend who's a police officer in Calgary that I used to work with back when he was in Toronto, and we worked as security guards together. So I just reached out to him, like, hey, I'm thinking about buying this property. It's located here. Is it a good location? What's your thoughts? And do your due diligence and make sure that, if this is something you're looking at doing, it makes sense for you. I do want to talk about being a landlord and how it's different in Alberta versus Ontario, because we do get a lot of, news headlines, and you get a lot of, tenants in Ontario seem to get a bad rep, which is very unfortunate, because I feel like that's like a small percentage of tenants. But unfortunately, when something like that happens, like a tenant stops paying rent and it takes the landlord a year to evict them and they trash the unit, it's all over the news and everybody hears about it. So it kind of paints everybody with a bad brush. I myself have not really ever had bad experience with tenants, but that's, it's always kind of like in the steps that I've taken in selecting tenants for my properties. But, just to give you some peace of mind, here's a comparison about being a landlord in Alberta versus Ontario. So in Alberta, there's no rent control. In Ontario, we do have rent control for properties that were constructed prior to 2018. In Alberta, when a fixed term tenancy ends, so let's say the year is up, you have to sign a new tenancy, or the tenant has to leave. While in Ontario, after the 1 year is up, the tenancy just goes month to month, and they can stay, as long until you either, yourself or a family member moves in, or so you sell the property and they want to take it as a principal residence. In Alberta, you're allowed to take security deposits and damage deposits for properties. In Ontario, you can't. In Alberta, you can also prohibit somebody from having pets, which is not something I'm fond of. I think people need to be able to have their pets, and I think all these anti-pet landlords are, I don't know what their problem is, but you do get a lot of landlords that for some reason don't want tenants to have pets. I have no idea why, but in Ontario, luckily for those tenants, pet provisions are not enforceable. So even if you say no pets in the lease, if the person is renting in a condo and the condo doesn't have any rules around that type of pet, you can't actually really do anything about it as a landlord. In Ontario, if you have an issue with your tenant board can be 8 to 10 months, while in Alberta, it's between 2 to 4 weeks. So that just gives a little bit of assurance. But again, it's, I think that 99.9% of tenants are not going to not going to cause issues. So the property that I bought at the Broward, that project has sold out. However, we do have a new project now in downtown Calgary, which I'm, selling as well. It's Imperia condos, pretty similar, higher price point than Broward. But it's a condo in downtown Calgary. It offers a lot of the same perks. Actually, it even has a 5% deposit for those that may want to do something like that. So you can get a unit at Imperia with as little as 5% deposit until closing. Units start in the 400s. It comes with a rental guarantee, 2 years free property management. Again, 20,000 in suite unit upgrades, free assignment, free locker, no condo fees for 2 years. There's also projects like this, which is Corner View, which is a condo townhouse that comes with a $2,500 a month rental guarantee with units that start at $489,000. And just to kind of put into perspective, so there's a basically this Yorkie townhome is the identical unit. So this unit, that's $2,500 a month rental guarantee. If we click here and open this listing, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see my tab or no?
I can't see the tab, Alex.
1 second. So yeah, if you look at can you see this?
Now I can see it, yes.
Okay, so this is basically the same townhouse. This is in phase 1, which has been completed and is being rented out now. So the one that's 489 is actually 4 bedrooms. You can see that a 2-bedroom townhouse is being rented out for $2,500, a 3-bedroom for $2,750, and a 3+ den is currently on today's market being rented out for $3,000, including utilities. And this is a 3-bedroom with den, exact same townhouse as the one that is available at Corner View, with the $2,500 a month rental guarantee. So that's why I mean that in some cases, the rental guarantee may not make sense. Like here, it's $2,500 a month plus utilities, while today that same unit is $3,000 a month, including utilities. So I don't know, like utilities are maybe $300. I mean, it kind of gives you an indication, right? Like this project's going to be closing in 2025, 2026. So pretty sure it's going to be, you're going to be able to get more than $2,500 a month in rent by then, considering it's $3,000 a month today. So just wanted to share that. We do also have options like Orson, Wolf Willow, where you can get a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo under $400,000 with a parking space and a locker. There's also freehold options as well if you're looking for a freehold townhouse, starting from under $500,000 or a duplex. Basically everything that Truman Homes offers is very investor friendly, and because of that, it has a 10% deposit structure until closing. So I've done a lot of talking. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to open up to some questions. I think I saw a question about
we do have some questions, Alex. So